Hello, my name is Erkki Kankare. I'm from University of Turku, Finland, and I will tell shortly about some of the things related to the Finnish observing courses with the NOT. And sort of concentrating on this NOT remote observing course that's been organized since 2013 in Finland. It's always been a remote course. And from 2013 to 2019, Seppo Mattila was in charge of the course, and then last year I took over of organizing the course. 2020 we didn't have the course due to COVID. And it's basically aimed for master students, though we have also had some PhD students that took the course. For example, last time a couple of them joined us, and we have had roughly 20 or maybe a bit less participants. It's truly a national course, so it's offered for astronomy students in any university in Finland, and that basically is students potentially from universities of Turku, Helsinki, Oulu, and Aalto University. And well, for example, last time we had actually participants in all of them, so ratios do vary indeed. And basically all the students, they gather around in Tuorla observatory, and that's close to Turku, to do the remote observations. And the students are split into groups, typically sort of based on universities where they come from. They have their group supervisors who bring their research projects that the students can then basically work on. And then what we also have had in the past courses, also last time, basically we try to make use of many of the previous NOT students that we have in Finland, make use of their expertise. That basically one of them is with the groups during the whole night to help them with the observations. So for example, last year, kindly Jyri Lehtinen and Tom Reynolds in the audience, and then also Lauri Siltala and Shane Moran, all previous NOT students, helped us in Tuorla. And yeah, well, the remote setup that we have already seen, it's quite similar to what you would get in the real control room. Not exactly identical, I suppose, but nonetheless very similar to the real experience. And basically the course work will then cover various steps. So we have this intensive week of observations. Typically, it's been 5 nights basically for the course. And during the course week, we give lectures on how to carry out observations, how to reduce data, how to analyze data. And the students then prepare the observations, do finders and visibility plots and things like that. And then obviously also carry out the observations. And then they can also start reducing and analyzing the data during the week, and they are not doing those tasks. And then sort of after this intensive week, at some point then we have deadlines. Every student writes their own research report, basically on what they have done during the course. And then these groups that work together, they also prepare their own group presentation that they give then in one session day, where everyone gets to tell a bit of what they have achieved during the course, which is great. And we basically, as we have these different researchers from different areas, they bring different research topics for the students. So each group still concentrates on a single topic, but we do have a nice variety of things. Like last year we had, for example, supernovae, galaxies, CVs, and groups do both imaging and spectroscopy and basically to cover the target. So yeah, for example, a young 1A supernova was classified in the course last time as an example. And also what we are also very keen on in this Finnish course is to do both optical and near-infrared observations. So basically within these 5 nights, the typical format has been 3 ALFOSC nights and 2 NOTCam nights, that every single student gets to do optical imaging, optical spectroscopy, and near-infrared imaging. Again, last year we still held the course a bit differently due to COVID to try to minimize the stay of students in Tuorla and the overlap between different groups. So then we just had 5 ALFOSC nights to keep things more simple. But overall, we are very keen on now, hopefully, going back to the more usual format for us and do both optical and near-infrared observations, which is also nice for the students. Then also what we also set up with the course is sort of called container computer. That's set up in University of Turku. That has also been the case over the years with the course, not just COVID times, but before. So we have this remote container where we have IRAF installed, for example. We still use IRAF, and other potentially necessary software that the students might need to reduce and analyze the data or prepare observations. And they can obviously access the container while they're in Tuorla, but also when they have left Tuorla after this intensive week and go back to their home universities, they can still remotely continue accessing the container computer and continue reducing the data. And then they don't have to worry about software installing or hardware and stuff like that, that they have this kind of setup readily available. Obviously, if they want to use some local setup or whatever they have readily available, they can feel free to do so. But nonetheless, we want to offer this kind of straightforward approach to start working with the data. And I can also mention that some of the data has been used in referred journal publications or thesis work. Just a couple of very recent examples then from last year's course, sort of on the transient field, as I'm more familiar obviously also with that side of things. So for example, some late time photometry of this superluminous supernova was observed in the course, and that went now to the paper by Claudia Gutierrez, who was also one of the group leaders in the course that was just recently submitted. And for example, some spectroscopy of this kind of slowly evolving hydrogen-rich supernova was observed in the course that Tom Reynolds is working on. And then, in addition, this NOT course for the university students, I can also mention that we have had already also for several years this kind of NOT school organized in Finland. And that's aimed for upper secondary school students. So students who are not yet in university, lukio, what we say in Finland. And that has run since 2016, also annually. And really the aim is to sort of promote natural sciences with these youngsters and show a bit of a glimpse of what it's to be an astronomer, what it is to be a researcher. And typically this has run with 3 observing nights, at least recently. I guess in a bit smaller scale when things were starting. And they are just using ALFOSC, and they have had quite, at least that's my understanding, they have had quite few participants, several tens per course. Personally, I'm not really so directly involved with the school, unlike with the course. And yeah, well, basically, usually there are remote observations, like you can obviously see, this is probably last year. Also held from Tuorla Observatory, similar way as the other course, same approach and everything. Often they're also fairly close in time. But also a couple of times, at least some of the students have actually traveled to the NOT to carry out observations. This apparently took place 2016 and 2019. And Pasi Nurmi from University of Turku is in charge of this NOT school, which I believe is also continuing. I basically just come to my summary slides. So these were sort of this